What's going on, peoples? I do not understand why this never works on TikTok anymore. But we're going to go ahead and press on. So if you joined me on Facebook or on YouTube or anywhere else, if you're watching this video, make sure you like the link so I can see your name. Hey, John, what's going on? Good to see you, man. By the way, I sent that email out to you. Hopefully you got that, and that'll help you out with that. I don't know why I can't go live anymore on TikTok with my camera. For some reason, it wants to keep going to gaming. Oh, there we go. I don't know what I did, but it's working now. Sometimes that's how it goes with technology. So yeah, if you guys are just jumping in, we're going to talk today about the exactly what to say. It's the follow up from my podcast that dropped this morning. Let me grab my book real quick. It's over there. So if you guys haven't listened to the podcast this morning, I highly recommend you do it. I talked about this book right here, Exactly What to Say by Phil M. Jones. I did kind of a book review. It was a new format for me. So do me a favor as well and let me know what you thought about that podcast, like the format. I'm not going to do a bunch of that. I was just curious. This book was really short. It's really short and easy to get through, and it's really not like a book like you would typically read. It's got kind of like snippets, you know what I mean? So it wasn't like a book. But yeah, if you guys like that format and you wanted me to review some more books, I'd be more than happy to do that. You just let me know if that's something you want me to do. If you're watching on TikTok, if you're just jumping in, make sure you leave a comment. If you have a question, be happy to answer them to you. But one of the things I wanted to talk about, I'm not going to go through this whole book and do exactly what the podcast is, because you can just go to the podcast and listen to it and get that information. What I want to do is talk really about just word tracks and what that means and how you can use it in your business. And so, word track is just a fancy word for like a bunch of words that you say, right? But the main thing is that you memorize these word tracks, and there's lots of different word tracks that you can use, and it's kind of like having a tool. Think of selling like a on a sales call. Think of it like having a tool belt, and then in your tool belt or in your tool bag you have multiple tools to do your job, right? So if you're doing demo, for an example, you would have several different tools that you use. You may use a reciprocating saw, a hammer, pry bar, you know, sledgehammer, whatever. There's all these different tools that you can use, a mini pry bar. And so word tracks, when it comes to selling or communication in general, word tracks are like specific tools that you can use in different scenarios. And so I've shared many of them on social media that you can use for different things. You know, one of them, an easy one that comes off the top of my head is, you know, if someone talks about the price, is there any way you can lower your price? Or I got another price from another contractor, and you know they were $10,000 cheaper than you. Is there any way you can come down on your price, or can you match their price? And so a word track that you can use in that specific scenario is, you know, John, I really wish that I could do that for you. I really wish I could come down on my price or match their price or whatever they're asking you. But if I was able to do that, wouldn't that mean I was overcharging you to begin with? And so that response is a word track that is memorized, that I don't have to try and come up with on a moment's notice without thinking about it. Right. And so this book is a collection of word tracks. There's 23 of them to be exact. And there's a few that I want to go through that are really, really powerful, and some that I have never even heard before, because I'm always looking to get better at my craft, even though I've done well over 400 role plays in my life, practice sales calls. That's what a role play is. I've done well over 400 plus. I don't know how many thousand live calls that I've done. So I've done a lot of calls, right? But I'm always trying to hone my skill and get better and better and better. And so you can never have too many word tracks. And so if I go through this, this is actually number one on here is I'm not sure it's for you, but now this is kind of a response and it's kind of a prep for somebody if you get on a call. Sometimes people are salesmen. Sometimes people are smart about talking to a salesman. And so they may come right off the bat with a question like, why should I hire you? Or why should I buy your product or whatever it is? And so a very easy way to diffuse that without coming across cocky, because most of us will say like, well, I've been in business for 25 years and I have 37, reviews, and I'm the highest rated contractor on Angie's list and blah, 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 blah. And we just puke all over them because we're like, we have to justify why they should hire us. And so a very easy word track to follow that up with, which is what it says here, is, Sam, I'm not sure you should hire me yet. I need to ask you some more questions to find out about your project to see if I can even, if I can even help you. And maybe at the end of that, I may not be the right person for the job. And so by simply going in the other direction of I need to puke all over the customer and tell them how great I am, by taking that away and simply saying, I don't know yet. I don't know if I can help you. I don't know if I am the best choice for you yet. And some people believe like, oh, well, that's like, you're putting doubt into their mind. It's like it's not though, because you're just saying you don't know yet. Maybe after you ask 5 questions, maybe after a 30-minute phone call, then you can definitively tell them why they should hire you. But by simply saying, I don't know that you should hire me yet. I don't know if I can help you yet. I don't know if I am the right choice for you yet. So that is a super powerful one, is that I'm not sure. I'm not sure yet. I don't know. And there's multiple variations of how you can say that. These don't have to be exactly word for word verbatim. You don't have to say, I'm not sure it's for you yet. But some variation of that is going to allow you to, respond to that. Amazing Jay, do you have those questions all written out? Kind of like a question. I don't have all of these questions written out, but I do have the top 8 questions that we ask in a format that I can send you. These are more word tracks, not questions. And so that's a little bit different, right? Like a specific question that you ask to get a specific result, that is a little bit different than these. These are just like a word track, a collection of words that you can use in different locations. Yeah, I can't just send them to you, Amazing Jay. You have to like reach out to me, send me an email, send me a direct message. There's no way for me to just send it through the phone. Number 2, let me look here and see. I'm not going to go through all of these. There was some that I wanted to highlight that were really good. This is one that I just learned from reading this book, and I love it. And it's open-minded. It's, are you open-minded? So in here he says, this is what he says: if you were to ask a room of 1,000 people whether they consider themselves open-minded, over 900 of them would raise their hand. So 90% of people would say, I'm open-minded. And this is a psychological thing. Most people, if I were to ask all of you watching right now, or do you consider yourself to be open-minded? An overwhelming majority of you would say that you are open-minded. The reality of it is that most of us are not open-minded. We're actually not, but we like to think that we're open-minded. And so this is a psychology trick, because when you say that, are you open-minded to hearing more about the solution that I have for you? Are you open-minded to, using a different material than what you had in mind? Are you open-minded to changing the floor plan, but different than what you had considered or what you wanted? Yeah, Chris Kelly says, I am open-minded until you tell me what to do. Yeah. I don't know if That's probably about right, Chris. And so this is so powerful because he says here, like, are you, or even again, you can change the wording a little bit, but these are some examples he gave of how open-minded would you be about trying out this alternative, right? You use it on your spouse. Hey, dear, would you be open-minded to trying a different place to eat tonight? If she says yes, then she can no longer say, like, I don't want to go eat somewhere new, because now she's committed. And this is what you do with your prospects or people that you're talking to. It doesn't, and it's not just necessarily selling. This just works in communication across the board. Here's another one: is would you be open minded about giving this a chance? So maybe you're talking to someone and they're like, yeah, I really want concrete countertops, and you're like, I don't, that's probably not the best solution for this. Would you at least be open minded to looking at some alternatives? And if they say no, no, I'm not open minded to it, then you pretty much know, like, definitively, this is what they want. They have to get this, right? So, an open minded question. I really, really love this. And it's definitely very interesting, or very, that's what we're looking for, effective to use when you're trying to introduce a new idea. So maybe you're talking to your staff, maybe you want to make a change, and you go to your staff and say, how open minded would you guys be about trying something new, about trying this? And so if you can get them to commit to yes, they're open minded, they're less likely to have resistance if you just come out and say that. So that one was a super powerful one. I really like that one. Look at a couple other ones here. By the way, if you guys have questions, if you have a specific situation where you've had somebody ask you a question or say something to you and you didn't know how to respond, throw it in the chat, and then I can give you some word tracks that could possibly help you. And if you have that problem again, let's look here. Look at some other ones. And just so you guys know, if you jumped on late, I am reading from this book called Exactly What to Say by Phil Jones. And it was what I talked about in the podcast today. If you haven't listened to the podcast, highly recommend you go listen to it. Just imagine, this seems very insignificant, but it's actually very powerful, and it's a combination of something that we teach in the profit sales system inside my coaching program. And that is, you really want to get the people to think about the emotional results of what's going to happen. So if you're a kitchen remodeler and you're talking to someone about their kitchen remodel, and maybe they're trying to decide who they want to hire for the contractor, you can get them to start thinking about it, and if they can imagine it in their head, the results, then you've pretty much got them on the hook, because it's hard to take away that thought of you've produced that end result in their mind. It's going to be very difficult for them to basically try to recreate that with someone else, because they've tied that end result to you, essentially, if you do it correctly. And so this one is a simpler way of saying, just imagine. Just imagine when the job's done, and we're driving away and you walk into your kitchen for the first time. Like, what does that feel like to you? What do you see? How does that change things for you? And if you can get them to respond with, like, yeah, I mean, it would we would finally have a place where all of us as a family could sit down together in one space. We don't have to be in two different rooms, and it would just be phenomenal. Like, it would be, really, whatever it is, whatever the emotion is. And so you can get them to imagine, then it's like setting the hook, basically. If you know how to fish, you got to set the hook, right? So that one's a really good one. Here's some other ones. This is new to me, and I'd never heard this or seen it phrased this way. But this one is, I'm guessing you haven't gotten around to. And so a lot of times, I'm sure none of you have guests that don't, that ghost you or don't get back with you. I'm sure everyone watching this, whenever you do a sales call, they either buy it then or they call you tomorrow and buy it then, right? You never have any ghosting, or people fall off the planet. right? I'll get back to you right away, right? No? Okay. So if you if you've and it's not just customers too, it can be staff, it can be vendors, whoever. If you ask something of someone and they haven't responded yet, if you start with, I'm guessing you haven't gotten around to X. I'm guessing you haven't gotten around to looking at the estimate yet. Guessing you haven't gotten around to making a decision on your project yet. It takes away that excuse from them because we've heard that excuse where we say, hey, Tina, I just following up with you. Have you had a chance yet to look at the estimate? And they say, no, sorry, we've been busy. We haven't had a chance to look at it yet. Right now, whether or not that's true or they're lying to you, it's still that's an excuse they can give you. So if you start it with, I'm guessing you haven't had a chance to look at the estimate yet, they have to respond with either a, yes or no. No, we have not had a chance yet. Or if they have had a chance, it's going to be difficult for them to now lie and say, no, we haven't had a chance because they have. And so now they have to basically respond in a different way. So it's easier for people to lie to you of saying, like, no, I haven't done something yet. Maybe they have, but they haven't done it to an extent that they feel is comfortable. Maybe they looked at your email that you sent over with an estimate. They opened it up at work. They saw the price. It was $20,000. Thought, holy shit, that's too much. Closed the email and thought to themselves, I'll take a look at it this weekend when I have more time and put some thought behind it. And so like it's easy to like exaggerate that or lie to themselves of no, I haven't really looked at it yet. They did look at it, but they haven't really thought about it or they haven't put any more thought into it. But if you simply start with, I'm guessing you haven't had a chance to look at it. Now they have to make a definitive, bold-faced lie to you and say, no, I haven't looked at it because they have looked at it. And most people won't lie to that degree, if that makes sense. Like people will lie to certain degrees, like a fib. If they think it's a small fib, they're more likely to do that. But if it's a straight, bold faced lie, yes or no lie, most people genuinely don't want to go that far in a lie. And so now it forces them to give you either a legitimate response or they have to at least, have some type of different response other than I haven't gotten around to it. So that one's super powerful. I'm actually going to be adding that to my training for the my clients. Yeah. So let's look here. Simple swaps. This isn't actually a word track. It's more of a tactic. We do this in the program. So a lot of times, if you get to a part where like you're talking to your clients and you want to see if they have any questions, and so what most of us do at that point is we'll say, yeah, so, do you have any questions about everything? And people a lot of times will say, like, no, I don't have any questions, even though they may have questions. Maybe they don't want to ask a dumb question, or they think it's not valid, or they don't, whatever it might be. A very simple way is to say, instead of saying, do you have any questions, you say, what questions do you have for me? And so that implies that they should have questions. And so if maybe they only have one question, but it's really dumb, and you say, what questions do you have for me? Again, most of these things are psychological subconscious things that people don't even think about. But if you say, what questions do you have for me? It will almost trigger them to have to create questions like, oh, maybe I should have questions. Maybe it's expected. Everyone else they talk to has questions. And so a lot of times they will actually reveal to you, possible objections, and they form it in a way of a question. So, they may have a question of like, trying to think of an example here. It could be like a time frame question of, well, how long does it take to do the whole project from start to finish? Now that's an important thing to know, especially if it's a big project. If you're doing a kitchen remodel and they're gonna be without a kitchen for, 2 months or whatever, like, they have to plan around that. But that can also give you an indication into what's important to them because they simply say, "Well, so how long does this project take?" That's a great question. Typically, it takes, blah, it takes 2 months to do this project. Do you have any concerns around that time frame? Right? So you can, like, even follow up with a question because now you simply said, "What questions do you have for me?" instead of, "Do you have any questions?" And so what's the tree says, either they accept it or deny it, move on. Yeah. You might be responding to an old the other tree said, it seems like semantics. Doesn't your work speak for itself, give estimates? Yeah, Trudy, that is a very. I'm not picking on you. I'm not trying to pick on you, but that is a typical limited belief response thought that I get from a lot of contractors. If I were to ask you what separates you from every other contractor, you would probably respond with, "I do high quality work." And I don't know you, but that's probably something that you would respond with. The problem with that is what every single other person says. And so there's no differentiator there. So if 3 people call you or, they call 3 people and you're one of them, and all 3 people are saying our quality speaks for itself, then there's nothing that you can differentiate yourself with. So when you learn effective communication, most of this stuff you will set yourself 10 times above any contractor who talks about the quality of their work because it's not work that sells jobs. The quality of your work gets your phone to ring. The quality of your sales, the quality of your experience, the quality of the entire experience that they have is what sells the job. So, yes, quality is important. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you don't do quality work. I'm saying that's not what sells jobs for most people, especially when you're the most expensive person that they're competing against. Because everyone believes, this is a little off topic, every customer that calls you believes that people, in terms of quality, for the most part, are on equal playing fields. So, and I mean, people are not dumb. Like, if they hire the crackhead down the street, they know that he's probably going to take their money and run and do a crappy job. I'm not talking about like the extreme edges of that. I'm talking about in the middle where most people live, as far as like, extreme, like super high quality. You're building stuff for the Pope, or you're doing stuff for, building stuff for mobile homes. Like, those would be extremes. I'm talking about most people in the middle. People believe that everyone's going to deliver the same level of quality within a certain spectrum. That's just a fact. And so whenever you hang your hat on quality is the most important thing, you do not separate yourself from anyone else. It's also completely subjective. Like, what you think is high quality work, I may think is okay work, or vice versa. I may think I am the best quality contractor in the world. And then you compare it to your work and I look like a schmuck. So it's completely subjective, and you can't sell quality on a subjective term like that. It's just not. So, yeah, you're talking about insurance work. It's totally different. Well, you shouldn't have to be calling customers and begging them for work. Yeah, I think we're just having two different conversations here. So, simple swap, what questions do you have for me? Let's keep going. I like this one a lot. You have 3 options. This is a good way if you get to the end of a call and they're kind of undecisive. They don't know, like, should they hire you? There's another contractor they really like. They're trying to wait on his response, whatever it might be like that. You just say, um, the way I see it, you have three options here. You can go with us, which I know the time frame was a little bit longer than what you were hoping. And so, it's going to put you out past the deadline that you wanted. That's option one, but that we're able to get this work done. Option two is you can keep looking for someone else, and you may or may not find somebody, but there's obviously no guarantee that you can find someone to get it done in that time. Or option three would be, not do anything now until after that deadline, whatever it is they're talking about, after that deadline, and then start the process over again. You know, basically you're saying these are the three options that I see. And obviously you should be one of those options, right? And it's not about really trying to minimize the other options like completely, like, oh, well, you're not going to find another contractor that's as good as me. Like that shouldn't be one of your options. It should be more like, yeah, you may be able to find someone else that can do it. I don't know. You would just have to roll that dice and find, see if you can find them. Or you can go with us knowing that we can get you on the schedule today. It's going to be a little bit longer than what you wanted, but it's going to get done. And when you do your three options, always leave yourself for last, by the way. You should always be the last option. So that's a really good one. Yeah, Trudy, insurance scores. I've never even heard of insurance scores. Like it's not even a thing that's ever come up. Uh, in 11 years of owning my construction company, insurance scores has never even been a factor of. It's been a factor of zero. So I don't even know what that is, to be honest with you. That's why I just assumed you were talking about insurance work, and you're probably talking about commercial. I'm not going to go through all of these. I'm just trying to find the good ones, the ones that really stood out to me. I like this one actually. Most people. One of the things that I do when I get on a sales call with someone is I set the frame for the call. And there's actually two. There's two. There's another one here that we'll get to. Um, Actually, I don't know if it's in here. It may not be in here. I don't think this was in here. I was getting it confused with another one. When I start a sales call with someone, a discovery call, and I get on the call with them, I like to say, I always ask them, is now a bad time? And then I say, hey, Trudy, before we get started, is it okay if we, um, yeah, I totally screwed that up. I just got my word tracks mixed up. Most people, this is sorry, this is yeah, my mind went totally. Trudy's got me all flustered here. Uh, so if someone calls you and says, "Hey, can you come out and give us a free estimate?" What I like to say is, this is what I was thinking beginning. This is the beginning of the original call. I always tell my clients, I say, our process is a little bit different, and most of our clients really seem to enjoy it. This is what we do, right? And so by saying most people or a lot of people, when you say most people, again, this is kind of like the open-minded statement. When you say most people, most of our clients decide to go ahead and schedule the consultation today, and then if they need to cancel it, they can do that. Most people, most people do this. Again, a lot of us think that we're normal and that we are like most people. And so if you say most people do this and they don't like that, it forces them to think, well, am I like most people or not? Right. And this is all subconscious for them. This is not stuff that they're like maybe actively thinking about. It's a subconscious level decision that they're making in a split of a second. And then they'd be more likely to say, oh, okay, yeah, that sounds great. What is it? And then you can go into that, right? So this is what most people say. Hey, most of our clients really seem to enjoy it. We ask you to send us some pictures, and then we will get back on another call and be able to discuss your project. Clark, I don't have a checklist per se. I do have 8 questions that we ask, but these are more or less word tracks that we're talking about, and I don't have I don't have like a specific list of all of the word tracks. Although that is something that I will put together in the future. I don't have that available right now. Basements, kitchen, bathroom, home edition type of thing, so nothing is missed. What do you mean, Clark? I think you just threw me a curveball. You talking about a checklist when you're doing quotes? Like when you're bidding quotes, like things that you don't miss, like, oh, don't forget to include a new register for the floor vent. Is that what you mean? Like that kind of checklist? This is a little, we do a spin on this in the Profit Club. What happens next? He's talking about it in the context of you just tell them. So like if I said, I'm giving you the pitch and I said, so that you're looking at, it's going to be $20,000 to do your project. And so what happens next is we do blah, 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 blah. That's the context of what he's saying is like, he's saying you tell them what happens next. He says you want them to commit, but following all of this relationship building and imparting of knowledge, the conversation grinds to a stop with nobody leading the actual decision. So if you're like at this conversation and you're like don't know what to say next, you can just simply say what happens next. Now, we do a different version of this in our sales process. And if we get to the part of the conversation where we don't really know which way to go, or we're ready to make the close or get a commitment out of them, we simply ask them, what do you think we should do next? Hey, Tammy, what do you think we should do next? Sounds like the price is right there where you guys were wanting to be at. What do you think we should do next? And they'll tell you. So asking it as a question instead of saying it as a statement, in my opinion, is a better way of doing it. But we just simply say, what do you think we should do next? And they'll say, well, I need to talk to my husband and give him all the information. Okay, now you have an objection you need to get through. Or they may say, well, I think we're ready to move forward. I think this is exactly what we wanted to do. Perfect. Well, here's what we do. Or sometimes they'll even ask you, "Oh, this is great. What's the next step?" And then you can even ask him, "Well, there's 2 options, and you tell me which one you like." So on and so on. But what do you think we should do next? Or what do you think we should, go? Where do you think we should go from here? If you get stuck at the end, it's like you don't know where to go. What do you think we should do next? A lot of contractors think they have to have all the answers. They think they have to be dominant and they have to be Johnny on the spot and they have to just be this expert. I'm telling you right now, some of the best salesmen that I've ever met, you would think are the dumbest people on earth. And it's not on purpose. I mean, they're not like that by natural. They're acting that way on purpose. You do not need to be the smartest person on the phone call. You just need to know how to talk to people. This is a good one too. What makes you say that? And this will be the last one because I need to hop off here. But actually, I'll do one more. What makes you say that? I talked to another contractor, and he was $10,000 less than you guys. It seems like you're just taking advantage of me, huh? What makes you say that? What makes you say that? It's pretty simple. Anytime someone says something that's some kind of or even an objection, well, I really can't afford that right now. Oh, what makes you say that? Well, because we just had this and this and this, and we had all this expenses going out. Oh, okay. Or it could be Let me look at he's got some suggestions here. Yeah, he's like, "I wanna shop around." Oh, well, okay, well, what makes you say that? Right? Or, "I haven't got the time yet." Oh, well, what makes you say that? So it's just a simple question because you want more clarity. Anytime you have an objection, guys, you want more clarity. It's not about trying to overcome the objection immediately. It's first you want to get clarity on what the specific objection is, because usually the objection they give you is a surface level objection. It is not the true objection. Someone may say, I don't have time right now. In reality, the real objection is they don't have the money, but they don't want to tell you that. And so, but you can ask questions by going deeper, not like a interrogation. Okay. You're not trying to like force them to tell you, but in with the correct tonality, the correct spirit of the conversation, and the correct, questions or word tracks, you can get to that level. So when someone says something to you, you just say, well, what makes you say that? Or you can add, just out of curiosity, what makes you say that? The last one I want to do, I really like this one. This is like kind of a saver. If you get to someone who's like, no, I'm not going to do that. It's too expensive, or I don't want to do that. We're going to hire someone else. You simply can go to, before you make up your mind, if you give them a price and you tell them it's $10,000, and they say, wow, that's way more than what, the other person was. The other guy was 5,000. You're at 10,000. That's just a lot more money. We're probably going to have to go with the other guy. I understand, John. Before you make up your mind, would it make sense to look at the two quotes just to make sure that they're bidding on the same thing? Before you make up your mind, you know, could I at least look at a couple other options to maybe see if we can do it a little less expensive or whatever it is? Just using those as examples. It's a great one. It's a before you make up your mind. And the psychology behind this, which I actually learned this reading this book, is that you can't move somebody from a no to a yes most of the time. It's too far of a jump to go from a hard no to a yes. And so what you need to do is move them first to a maybe or a possible, right? Because maybe they just don't see it yet. Maybe they're like, I don't think you're going to be able to provide the right solution for us. They don't feel confident in your abilities as a contractor to produce the result that they want, because you haven't done a good job in the sales process to show them. And so you have to get them to the point of like, oh, okay, well, maybe we just missed it. Maybe they can do what we need them to do. So you need to move people from a no to a maybe, and then from a maybe to a yes. Trying to go from a no to a yes is very, very hard to do. And so the before you make up your mind is a way to get them to a maybe. And if you have someone at a maybe, it's a hell of a lot easier to close them once you get to a maybe. So use the before you make up your mind. Anytime someone is like, contradicting or going or throwing an objection your way, hey, before you make up your mind about this, what about this? Can I tell you about this? He's got a couple examples. Look, before you make up your mind, let's make sure we've looked at all the facts. Or before you make up your mind, why don't we just run through the details one more time so you can know what it is that you're saying no to? Not a fan of that, but before you make up your mind, wouldn't it make sense to speak to a few more people about the difference this could make for you and your family? You know, so there's lots of ways you can go with that. If someone's like, I don't know, I know you guys are a new company, and that makes me a little nervous. So and so down the street's been in business for 20 years. Yes, they're a lot more expensive than you guys, but I just feel more comfortable. Hey, Christy, I get it. Before you make up your mind, how about if I have some of our past customers call you or whatever? How about if I give you the numbers of a couple of our past customers, and they can give you some more information about how we do things? So that's that maybe, right? That's moving them to a maybe. So with that, guys, I appreciate you hanging out here and listening to me. Go get this book, Exactly What to Say. Go listen to the podcast that dropped today. I cover everything in this book, or you can just buy the book too. Ox, what's it? Ox Concrete. I don't have. Oh, he says I do concrete. Clark, 8080. I don't have a checklist that is specific for like all of those things. Those usually end up becoming very um, like niche, like for each company, because each company does things like totally different, and so it's hard to create a checklist like for that. And there's so many different. I'd have to have like 50 different ones. One's for painting, one's for staining, one's for remodeling, one's for roofing, one for deck building. Like there'd be so many checklists that it would be nearly impossible. But no, I don't have a checklist like that for you, unfortunately. So appreciate you guys hanging out with me. If you haven't done so already, make sure you're following me on TikTok and on Facebook. If you're on YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe to get notified whenever I go live. Go live every Monday from 4 to about 4:45 Central Standard Time. And if you guys are looking for some help in your business, if you're wanting to get out of the valley of despair in your business where you feel like there's nowhere to go, I have some solutions for you. Please reach out to me. I have a couple different options that may work for you, but I won't know if it's going to work for you until you reach out to me. So appreciate you guys hanging out. And like I said, just reach out to me if you need anything. I forget who it was. If you want that, if you want those questions, just shoot me a message and I will be able to send that to you. Thanks, guys. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.